So let's move on to audience. And this is one of the bigger ones. So under audience, we have a bunch of things here, but we're going to start with overview. So by default, again, it gives us your last 7 days, and this is your traffic information about it. The first thing I typically do when I get to these internal pages inside of analytics is I change the time frame. And the way you do that is just by clicking on the dates and then choosing an earlier date. So let's do August 1 through yesterday. You'll also notice I can choose today, but Google Analytics tends to be 12 hours behind when it comes to having good data for reporting. So typically what they do is they always default you to the previous day. So I'm just going to leave it there, and I'm going to hit apply. And now we can see that we turned our analytics on for this. We actually changed over at the end of August from one system to another. So there's no data prior to that. So kind of silly to even look at that. So I'm going to change this to September 1 through yesterday. So there we go. Now we've got a good chunk of data. We've got what, 45 days, 43 days, something like that worth of data. And we can see, yep, traffic every day. Oh, we did that newsletter. It really spiked up and bounced back down. Now, one thing that I can do right here on this audience overview screen is I can make some notes. So this little tab right here bounces down, and then I can create an annotation. So I'm going to create one for that was the, what was that, the 11th, right? So I'm going to choose the 11th, and I'm going to do sent out newsletter. Save that. Now I have a little note there. If I come back to this later, I'll have this little thing here, and I can see, oh, what happened that created that, right? Now, if you see one of these and you don't know what created it, that's a different scenario. But for the most part, you're going to know what caused some sort of spike in your system. So now we've got a decent amount of information here. We can get some data about the people that visited the website. Really what we're interested in here as a window treatment and awnings business owner is we're interested in pages per session and average session duration. These are probably the two biggest ones here. So pages per session is how many pages on average did people in this time frame look at. In our case, 1.42. For most small business owners, this number we really want to be around 3. That seems to be a really good average number. That means that there's enough information on your site. People are able to find things. One of the ways to really increase this pages per session and the session duration is with galleries and with before and after galleries or different room galleries, and obviously product galleries as well. People love to look at window treatments and awnings. They're very visual things, right? They want to kind of picture what it could look like before they call, before they, so they have some sort of information or some sort of idea what they're talking about before they call, right? Pages per session, we want that really to be around 3. And then average session duration, same thing. We want this to be 2 minutes plus. 2 minutes would be fantastic. As you can see, ours is around 1 minute, but we don't have all kinds of picture galleries and all kinds of other stuff like you guys would, right? So 2 minute average session duration is a good goal to go after. Obviously, the higher you can get this, probably the more information you have on your site. And as you continue to build your site bigger and better over time, this number will continue to grow as well. Those are the two big ones that you can look at here. Now, from time to time, I do get questions about bounce rate. And bounce rate is basically how many people came to the site and clicked the back button within about 6 seconds or less. So in this case, 80% of people did that. And that sounds really bad. And that is a very high number, right, for a bounce rate. But this is an overview of all users, all pages on the site, right? So there's probably some pages on our site that people are stumbling on that they don't really, that we really don't qualify as a result for them to be looking at anyway. Now, when we start drilling down to specific pages, like let's say our exterior shutters page, right? That page is most likely going to have a lower bounce rate because it makes more sense. People are going to Google or typing in exterior shutters, Outer Banks, North Carolina. Full tilt comes up. That, you know, that is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going to click, I'm going to stay on that page. I'm going to look at it. So the internal pages tend to have a lot lower bounce rates versus something like this, which is really just an overview of all the different all the different pages on our site. So I'm not terribly concerned about an 81% bounce rate at this level, if that makes sense. All right, let me jump over and make sure there's no questions. If you have any questions, put those in the chat. I want to make sure that I get those answered for you. All right, I don't see anything over there. So you also get some other information here around language system, operating system on mobile devices, what language they were set their browsers to by default to look at your site. Most people are obviously English. This is pretty much going to be the case across the entire, across everybody that's probably on here, right?